Hey everyone, welcome back to another Ask Mevo Anything. I'm Joseph Capehart. I'm the Senior Technical Specialist here at Mevo, and today, as you can see, I am on a new set. With the Mevo, it's super easy to be able to just bring it around wherever you want, put it in a different set up your stuff, don't have to carry a lot of things around. It's great. So, for today's show, I'm going to be using a single Mevo Start. This is running via Ethernet with the Mevo Power Ethernet adapter. I'm using this Blue Nano microphone, the Yeti, from Blue, and it's going right into the back of the Mevo Start's 3.5 audio input. Excuse the additional noise, give me one moment. So, for today's show, I want to go ahead and start with the referral program. If you're unaware of the referral program, we do have a 5% discount if you refer anybody, and then you also earn 5% back for your actual income. So you can make some extra income if you're already recommending people to use the Mevo. For today's overall show, we are going to be talking about a few different things. We are going to be discussing things like, let's see here, let me pull up my slides real quick and make this a little easier. All right, for today's show, we're going to be talking about setting up the Mevo hotspot, and we're going to talk a little bit about data throttling because things like this are very important when you're on the go. The last thing you want to do is be broadcasting and then you notice that your stream got a little bit slower or disconnected for whatever various reasons. So if you are having issues, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Facebook issues if you're having any issues with your device, mounting options for the Mevo, so specifically when you are on the go using the Mevo hotspot. We're going to be talking about the overlays that you can use specifically for spring sports today, baseball. And then we're going to talk about protection from the elements. We're going to talk about protecting it from the sun, the rain, and things like that. Okay, so for a little bit of background about what the Mevo is. So the Mevo was founded back in about 2016. The Mevo first gen was released by Livestream. Livestream decided that the Mevo was a necessary product that people really needed because they did have Livestream Studio at the time, but they noticed a lot of people had to lug around a lot of different equipment. If you're using traditional equipment, like whether it's like a professional camera, then you need someone to operate the camera, you need capture cards and things like that to get that professional camera to a computer. Then you need a computer to run the software to broadcast it. There are a lot of different things that you need to lug around, and the Mevo Start was a solution to eliminate most of those things. So the Mevo Start allows you to do graphical overlays. As you can see, for me, I'm handling all of these overlays myself. Not just the lower third overlay, but the countdown and then the over-shoulder slideshow that I will be using throughout the show to kind of guide me through today's topics. So the Mevo Start is the latest and greatest from the Mevo product line. It is taking over for the Mevo Plus, which has been a great product up until this point, and it's still continued to be a great product. It's not going to just die. We're going to continue to support it. But the Mevo Start was released this time last year in 2020, and it allows a lot of really cool things, and it handles, specifically battery life is huge for specifically going like mobile for baseball and things like that. So let's go ahead and get into the Mevo hotspot. This is an ongoing conversation that we have all of the time when it comes to using the Mevo Start or any Mevo product on the go because you're relying on the mobile device and your mobile provider. So when it comes to using the Mevo hotspot, this is exactly what it looks like. So essentially your Mevo camera is connecting to your phone wirelessly, and it is going to be using your phone's data plan to accomplish and get broadcasted through the mobile device. I apologize for any noise that you guys are able to pick up. We do have some construction next door, so I'm going to do my best to get through it without any kind of distractions. If it does become a little unbearable, let me know, and we'll see what kind of adjustments we can make on the fly. So for the Mevo hotspot, essentially what's happening is your Mevo is connecting to your mobile device, and then the Mevo is then broadcasting to the device, and the device is broadcasting to your wireless network. The wireless network is basically your tower, whether it's Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and things like that. So whatever it might be, they're handling the broadcast from there and sending it to your destination. Now, why is this important to understand? When it comes to using wireless networks and using your mobile device, a lot of things that are very uncontrollable, well, kind of variable, I guess. It fluctuates when you're using a mobile device. So when it comes to upload speeds and signal interference and things like that, you might run into issues with your mobile device. So the things that you want to do is test your upload speed over and over again. No matter if you're familiar or comfortable with the location environment that you're in, your upload speeds can vary. One thing that users often misunderstand is what the bars on your mobile device actually represent. So many times we'll see users saying, hey, I got full bars, right? I got 4 bars for 4G or 5G signal. And the thing is, that is specifically for signal. That's not telling you how fast your network is. So relying on your bars or things like that is not going to tell you that, well, I've got full bars, so I should be able to broadcast or stream. That is not how that works. So what you really want to do is go to things like speedtest.net, go to Google, type in speedtest. We also have other alternatives like fast.com. You can go to all 3 of these websites and do a speed test on those websites and confirm your upload speeds. For a 1080p stream, we recommend you have about 10 megabytes per second. And then as the resolution drops, then the speed requirements drop. We do have an in-depth article that covers all of the recommended bit rates for each resolution. And there's about a window that you should be aiming for. But all in all, you're aiming for about anywhere between 6 and 10 megabytes per second for a 720 to 1080p stream. Other things that could be happening is interference. A lot of people don't realize is as the day goes on, the tower that you're connected to for your mobile device may fluctuate prioritization. It may fluctuate the speeds and the resources that it allocates to you. So as the day goes on, more people may be connecting to that tower in your location, and then you might see your resources drop. Your upload speed may not be what it was 30 minutes ago or an hour ago when you previously did your speed test. So every time you end your stream or start your stream or whatever it might be, even if it's in an environment that you're familiar with, you want to make sure that you're doing your speed test regularly throughout the day to confirm that you can still do the stream on that specific network. And you might have to increase, decrease resolution based on how your upload speeds are looking at that time of day. Now, there are some other things that go into play here, and this would be data throttling. If you don't know what data throttling is, it's essentially how the network provider handles your data throughout the day. A lot of people have different plans and things like that prioritize, or where service providers prioritize one plan over the other. And then after you use so much data, they may actually decrease and throttle, which is basically putting a limit on how much data you can continue to use or limit the speed of data that you're using. For example, here's a few different providers. We have AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. AT&T has a few different limits. They have unlimited starter plan. They can throttle your speeds at any time they want. That's in the contract. When it comes to using like the unlimited extra plan, after 50 gigabytes, then they can start to throttle your speeds. And then after 100 gigabytes for unlimited elite, they will start to throttle your speeds. They hold the right to do so whenever they so please once you hit those limits. Other things you might be wanting to look at is Verizon. We have 50 gigs for the do more, play more, and then also for the get more. They can actually throttle your speeds once you hit that 50 gig plan. For T-Mobile, they have a 100 gig limit where they can start to throttle, and this is for any plan that is not their Magenta Max plan. For the Magenta Max plan, T-Mobile says that you have unlimited data and they won't throttle you. So that's all good to know. And this information is current as of 3 days ago and is courtesy of the tomsguide.com. They did an article 3 days ago that covered this. So this is where I grabbed that information, and they have all the resources there that discusses for each individual provider. So this is current as 3 days ago. You might want to check with your provider to see when you might get throttled. And this is something you should be absolutely aware of as you stream. The more you stream, the more issues you may run into because of throttling. Now, throttling doesn't necessarily mean prioritization. So when things like this, so for example, if you're already streaming on a network or a provider, say Verizon, and somebody else decides they want to start a stream 30 minutes later, the person who's probably streaming first is probably going to get prioritization. But this, once again, is all controlled by your provider. There's no way that you can really modify that on your end. So like I said, That's why you really need to make sure that you're doing these speed tests throughout the day. The more you do the speed test, the more comfortable, and you can make adjustments on the go. Okay, now we're going to get into some questions. I know I covered a lot of information, and we will go from there. So Will says, can you stream an individual or to an individual like FaceTime or GroupMe? So when it comes to the Mevo, it does have webcam mode, but the issue is you are not able to use FaceTime with webcam mode, whether it's on a desktop like a Mac computer or on your mobile apps. You're not able to use your Mevo as a substitute for your mobile device's camera. But if you do use it on a desktop like a Mac computer, you can use it for other applications, but unfortunately FaceTime is not one of those. Samuel says, good morning. I ordered my third camera about 30 minutes ago and 3 Ethernet power adapters. So glad to hear it. Thanks, Sam, for tuning in, and thank you for being a returning customer. Let us know how you're using it, Sam, and that goes for anybody. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and then if you have some unique content, make sure you hashtag Mevo Camera. That way we can see that, and we can even share it on the show. We're going to share a few different shots later in the show today from users who have shared their experiences, and I think it's really cool. So if you want to get your stuff featured on our show, absolutely hashtag Mevo Camera, and then even then our marketing team might actually use it for one of our ads if you so choose to allow us to do that. Fab says, when I record on the Mevo, my recording is saved at about 1 hour equals 1 gig. Is this normal or am I doing something wrong when recording? Is there a way to compress those recordings so I can share it? That's a great question, Fab. So the thing is, when it comes to splitting streams or files, if that's what you're actually talking about, if you're talking about splitting the files up about 5 gigs, this is done to prevent corruption. If there is a corruption, then the odds are you're not going to lose all of your data. We're actually going to be able to save some of that. Now, if you're talking about your whole stream is in that 5 gig, then the way that you can make this smaller is either lower the resolution or your bit rate. If you have a Mevo Start, you can customize your bit rate. You can use the default bit rate, or you can raise your bit rate in the advanced settings when you're recording. So if you are noticing that the file is too large, I would recommend lowering your resolution or your bit rate and going from there, and then the file size will be smaller. Then you can share it that way. If you're just recording, so you say you're recording, you didn't say you're streaming. So specifically for recording, you can modify your bitrate and go from there. If you are streaming, then one thing you really want to do is make sure that you save a copy to your SD card, or you can actually say, keep this on the platform that I'm streaming to, and then you don't have to worry about sharing it because it's already on the platform. That's a great question, Fab. Very fantastic. Will multicam eventually replace the Mevo 2.0 app? I am unsure. I think, ideally, my personal opinion, not a Mevo opinion, I think that's the route to go. However, that decision's above me, so it's hard to tell. But multicam, absolutely, you can use a single camera if you choose to do so, if you think that layout's better for you. Or if you want to stick with the Mevo 2.0 app, you can continue to do that. If a decision like that is made, I don't expect that to take place anytime soon, so you can comfortably use the Mevo 2.0 app. And plus, all of the features that are in the Mevo 2.0 app are eventually going to get ported over to the Mevo multicam app. So I wouldn't worry about the Mevo 2.0 app going anywhere for an extended period of time because there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be moved over. Jeff says, is there a solution for YouTube yet? That's a great question, Jeff. Can you clarify? Actually, it's kind of, I'm not sure. If you're talking about using RTMP, you can absolutely go to YouTube using RTMP. If you're talking about using the API and needing 1,000 subscribers, that's a YouTube limitation. That's completely out of our control, unfortunately. However, we recommend using RTMP anyways for the most stable stream. This is typically what a professional broadcast would use anyways, opposed to the API option. And if you actually ask a lot of our users nowadays in our customer group, if you're not part of it, the Mevo customer group on Facebook, a lot of them actually are very open in saying that the RTMP option has been a lot more smooth for their production and a lot more predictable. So you can absolutely still go live. Like I said, you can go to RTMP. Maybe one of our team members in the chat would be able to link you to the article that walks you through it. It's a pretty simple process. You don't really have to set it up more than once. So once you actually set it up once, you should be good to go. Stacy from YouTube says, bought 2 Mevo Starts to go along with our Mevo Plus. Let me see here. I'm going to make my screen a little bit wider. Used an iRig with the iPad for audio with the Mevo Plus, but cannot get OBS to recognize it. Any suggestions? Actually, I'm extremely intrigued about this question just because as long as your Mevo Plus is getting audio through the mobile device, then it should absolutely send it over oh wait, hold on. No, actually you can't. So, sorry about that, I apologize. So if you're using wired webcam mode, the Mevo Plus isn't gonna send audio through wired webcam mode, even if you are going through your mobile device. You would have to send your audio. I would recommend going through your Mevo Start, and then the Mevo Start will send it, whether it's wired webcam mode, wireless webcam mode, or NDI. The wireless or the Mevo Start would send the audio, and it would make sure it's already in sync. So if you're going through the Mevo Plus for audio, you can't do that when you're doing wired webcam mode. So if that's what you're trying to do, I would go through the Start. The Mevo Start's more flexible when it comes to all audio and all three options, whether it's NDI, webcam mode, wireless, or wired. That's a great question, though. So if you are unaware, the Mevo Plus and Mevo First Gen cannot send audio via wired webcam mode. This is a hardware limitation that we unfortunately are unable to get around, but the Mevo Start absolutely can with its newer hardware. Frank says, the overlays, is there an easier, quicker way to make edits, such as doing scorekeeping? Do we have to keep going in and out of the main screen to make changes? Will there be an update to allow edits from one place? If not, it's a great question, Frank, and that's a great suggestion. As far as making edits on the go, I agree it could be quicker. The way that it's done now, there's really not a way around the current method of getting it done. However, if you do have a suggestion on how you think it should be done, if you think you should be able to do it in the preview mode, let us know. We can definitely put that in our recommended features list. It is something that we consider every time we have some free developers. We try to look at something next we can prioritize. So if that's something you want, let us know. It's the best time now than ever to get those heard. Nappy says, will Mevo do Facebook Live onto a specific group rather than my own personal Facebook account? Absolutely. So the Mevo can go live to a Mevo profile, it can go live to a Mevo page and a Mevo group, or not a Mevo page. It can go live to a Facebook profile, a Facebook page, and a Facebook group. So yeah, absolutely. You can go up to 10 as well. If you have the Vimeo producer plan, you can go up to 10 destinations at once, and you can do five groups, 5 pages, or however, whatever combination you want to do. But you can absolutely go to Facebook groups. Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Okay, let's get back into it. So basic Facebook troubleshooting kind of goes with our last question. A lot of times users are reporting things, whether it's trying to switch Facebook accounts and they're not able to do that. Every time they press login, it immediately logs them into the account they were just last logged into and not the new account. It doesn't allow them to put in their credentials. We've also seen some reports of users having like a user session token issue where it says that you've changed your password recently. So a few of these different issues specifically, especially permissions and user tokens and changing your account, these are handled, and the reason that these pop up is because a lot of this data is handled through the local browser, whether it's, well, specifically Safari for iOS devices. Now, one way that you can handle all of these things and to renew these is go to Safari. First, you're going to log out of Facebook in the Mevo app. That way, when you come back and need to log in, it'll prompt you for the username and password. But once you log out of the Mevo app, you're going to go to facebook.com on your default browser, which is going to be Safari. Make sure when you go to facebook.com in Safari, what's going to happen is you'll probably notice you're logged in. And if this is the case and you want to change your account, you need to log out here. Don't log back in, just log out of facebook.com in Safari. Then what you're going to want to do is go into the Safari app settings. And you're going to want to clear that data in the cache for Safari. And then go back to the Mevo app, try to log in, and what's going to happen is it's finally going to ask you for a username and password. Now, the reason that this happens is the Mevo app is referencing the data from Safari. So if you're logged into a different account or you've since changed your password and or you're just, whatever it might be, right? Whatever you've done, it's referencing different data and it's conflicting with what's going on in Safari. So if you're trying to log back in, it's going to reference the account you're logged into in Safari. So if you want to log into a different account, you need to make sure that in Safari, when you go to facebook.com, you're logged out. That gives you the freedom to log in and out freely in the Mevo 2.0 app. If you're logged in Safari, then it's going to continue to log you into that account. And then if you have issues where it says that your session or your token is expired or your password's recently changed, it's because the Mevo app is getting different data via the API that Safari is providing it. So it's conflicting data. And the way you want to refresh that data is simply logging out of Safari in the Facebook app. Or logging out of facebook.com in the Safari app, just to avoid any kind of conflict of information. that either the Mevo 2.0 app has or Safari has. All right. Before we get into the mounting options, let's go back into questions. Looks like we have another burst of questions. Ricardo says, what is the use of the small opening hole in the lower part of the Mevo? Is it for heating regulation or physical reset or the design of the future microphone? No, so that's a great question, Ricardo. So at the bottom of the Mevo Start, I do have one. Give me one moment. Let me grab it. It's way over here. So at the bottom of the Mevo Start, if you're unaware, it's right below where the lens is. If you look right below, there's going to be a little hole. Now, this is not a microphone. This is specifically a physical reset. You nailed it. So when you're actually performing a reset, you need to be able to press this button for 3 or 4 seconds, and you'll notice this light starts flashing white, and then that means it's going to reset mode. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to send it back to the original firmware that your Mevo was received with or came from with the factory. So whether you got it from us, we send them back out with a firmware update, so that way you get the latest firmware. Now, if you still have and you've never sent it to us, it's going to go back to what the factory has. So the factory updates our firmware quarterly. So basically what it comes down to is when you do that reset, it's going to go back to the firmware as if you just got out of the box. Now, I do not recommend that you go and do a reset just to do a reset. If everything's working great, fantastic. If you are having issues, go to help.mevo.com. Tell us what issues you're having. We can try to work through it. And then if the agent decides that the best course of action is a reset, we can provide you with clear direction on how to do that. John says, where can I purchase in Canada? As far as physical locations, I will have to get back to you on the physical locations for retailers in Canada that carry our product. I believe that there are Best Buy locations, but I don't want to give you false information. But you can also go to Mevo.com and Amazon.ca to purchase the Mevo for Canada. So that's a great question, John. If you are looking for physical locations, that's something I'll have to reach out to our sales department and our fulfillment department and see if we can find out specifically the physical locations in Canada that may have them. James says, using Mevo as a webcam in vMix, but it freezes and the picture will not move. I'm sorry to hear that, James. And if you are having issues like this, what I would recommend is opening a ticket at help.mevo.com, and one of our agents should be able to help. Some things that I would include in that ticket is the firmware version, the firmware version of the camera, the app version of your app on the mobile device. What kind of cable are you using? Are you using the standard Mevo cable? Or are you using a third-party cable? Are you using any hubs, adapters, anything like that? All of this information is extremely important. Also, what kind of software are you using the Mevo webcam mode in? Have you tried it in other software? Does it freeze in that? A lot of information. The more you can provide, the better. Kevin says, hi, Joe. I just got my Mevo Ethernet adapter up and going. I finally managed to get the signal to OBS software. Things appear to be working great. Thanks so much for the great tech support. So glad to hear it, Kevin. I'm actually working with OBS today, a lot of stuff with OBS. We're hoping to have our Thursday shows. If none of you have tuned in, we do go live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Mevo Camera on both Facebook and on YouTube. Our Thursday shows usually are myself and Will, or at least 2 other representatives from Mevo, and we go over things. And it's usually a little bit more. We got screen sharing. We do like 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 cameras. We really try to go advanced on these Thursday shows. And so, as you can see, I'm on a new set. So I'm trying to get OBS configured with our new configuration with the window shot, with Will, and this shot, and our wide shot. I'm trying to get OBS configured, NDI, Ethernet, all of that cool stuff. So definitely glad that you're having a great experience, Kevin. I'm also having a great experience. But as you're aware, all that configuration can take some time when you get a little bit more advanced. So if you do have a really cool advanced production, definitely let us know and hashtag Mevo Camera so we can see it. Jehu says, do I need to be logged into Facebook on the Mevo app if I'm using RTMP to connect? Absolutely not. So no credentials are passed on when you're using RTMP except the URL and the RTMP key. No Facebook, YouTube credentials, or any kind of platform. None of those are exchanged. Only that URL and key are needed. So that's a great question. Very great question. Cross says, are overlays available on the Mevo app? Absolutely, and we're about to get into that. Right after mounting options, I'll show you what that actually looks like in the Mevo app. Okay, so for mounting options for outdoors, we're talking about Mevo Hotspot today mostly. So situations where you want to use the Mevo Hotspot is baseball. We have a lot of great baseball content lately, and I'm going to get into a really cool story about that and why the Mevo is a great choice for your spring sports. But for example, for mounting, we have the fence clip here attached to this little makeshift fence, chain link fence here. And basically, it's something you get on Mevo.com today. And what it allows you to do is it uses a piston to kind of secure your Mevo. I don't want to shake it too much because of my mounting feature over here. The way that I have this situated, I guess it's a little bit more stable than I thought. So when you actually move this around, as you can see, not to beat up on this camera, but this thing can take quite a beating without, moving or falling from the chain link fence, which is very important. Now, worst case scenario, let's say that the fence clip does fail, then it even comes with this securing mechanism here that you can attach to the camera. That way, if it does fail, it's still going to be hanging from the chain link fence, which is great because the last thing you want is it falling 10 plus feet from the backstop or wherever you may have it mounted on a chain link fence. The other option, as you can see here, is the NetCam, which is also a mounting option from Fence Clip. And this is specifically if you're on, like, for example, a soccer field, right? And you want to mount it to if you want to mount it to a net opposed to a fence clip, whereas a fence clip specifically uses the pressure and the strength of the fence to kind of secure it. A net obviously is a little bit more flimsy, not going to secure from a piston since it is flexible. So that's where the NetCam comes in, and you can hang it from the NetCam, also available from Fence Clip. All right, let's see if we have any more questions before we continue. I like to put these in there, that way we can kind of segment things off. I don't want to jump over any questions, but I also kind of want to continue to go. But as long as you guys keep the questions coming along, I'm going to be more than happy to answer those. So Sam says, can you use NDI PTZ with vMix on the start? Absolutely. So you can absolutely use like NewTek's Studio Monitor to control the PTZ functions of the Mevo. And I've not done it with vMix specifically, the PTZ controls, but you can absolutely do it with, I know for Studio Monitor, but I would imagine vMix would be much of the same. We do have users out there that use joysticks to configure and control all of these settings. So you'd be able to modify it using the PTZ via NDI, just like you would in the Mevo app. Ricardo says, when are you launching the Windows app, and will it complete recognizing multiple Mevo start cameras as the NDI? Okay, so the Windows Wireless Webcam app is actually in beta. So if you actually go to our wireless webcam group, you can actually get that today. As far as being out of beta, don't really have a timeline for that. As far as competing with NDI, NDI is kind of on a level of its own. The webcam feature is a great feature, but I would use that feature for Zoom calls, Google Meets calls, whatever it might be. When it comes to NDI, you can connect multiple cameras. Webcam mode you can't, or wireless webcam mode you can't. And then wireless webcam mode is also limited on bitrate, whereas NDI can kind of jump up well above what the webcam mode offers and go up to 15 megabytes per second. So I don't see webcam mode as in competition with NDI, because NDI simply offers higher quality, more functionality than the webcam mode does. But webcam mode is solid if you don't want to go through the troubles of NDI. You can absolutely take advantage of it. So it kind of, there are ups and downs for both features. NDI is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complex, uses more resources. Webcam mode's great, limited on a few different things such as bitrate and how many cameras you can use. And then if you're using wide webcam mode, once again, limited on quality. However, you can use more cameras. It really comes down to your preference and how much time and effort you want to put into the final look of your production. All right, let's get on to the next conversation. So we got overlays here. So for overlays, you have a few different options. I've discussed these previously, but you have Vimeo Producer, and this is what Vimeo Producer looks like. This is exactly what I'm using for this current overlay. It's what I used for the countdown. It's what I've used for my lower third and all the over-the-shoulder overlays. You can do the countdowns, you can do PDFs, which is what I'm doing with this. And by simply pressing an arrow, I'm going forward and backwards in my slides, as you can see here. I'm just pressing an arrow. I can preview all of these things and have full control of the settings. So I don't have to go into the graphics area each time. I can just press next to get to my next graphic. And it recognizes things like PDFs and JPEGs, PNGs, and all of things like that. So this is brought to you by a Vimeo Producer Plan. You can get the Vimeo Producer Plan on mevo.com/plans. You can also get it in the Mevo app, either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and get it there. Depending on your geographic location, it might be anywhere between $15 to $20 per month, but it's typically billed annually. But once again, this depends on where you are located and how Vimeo is basically charging for your location. And I think that has a lot to do with like exchange rates and things like that. I can't really speak too much on it because it's not my area of expertise, but just something to be aware of. Another option for things like baseball would be Sideline HD. Sideline HD is, oh, did I skip it? Did I accidentally delete it? Hold on. There, no? Oh, there we go, I did. I messed up the order of my things. Okay, so Sideline HD is in beta right now, but Benjamin is one of our members in the Mevo customer group who has this wonderful feature that integrates directly with the, I believe, iScore, maybe? Is that what this says over here? Oh, can't really see on my screen. But it integrates with things like iScore, which allows you to broadcast, you know, what inning it is, where people are on the bases, how much time's left in the game, whatever it might be, the score, the teams, all of it. Who's up to bat? All of those things. And you can go and apply, I believe, on SidelineHD.com or Sideline.com. I'm not absolutely positive. Let me just confirm that for you before I give you bad information. Let's see here. Nope, not Sideline.com. SidelineHD.com. Perfect. Nailed it. Okay, SidelineHD.com. You can go there, sign in, sign up for the beta. They are allowing people to join, and they have really cool features for baseball, softball, whatever it might be, as you can see here. Now, one of the really cool things that I've seen in the community was this graphic here. This was shared by Michelle Fellows, and essentially what happened here, and this is why Mevo is such a great option when you're using it to broadcast your sports. This is an example. Michelle says in the Facebook group, essentially what had happened is that she was using the Mevo hotspot, and the network actually disconnected, and they started getting, well, not disconnected, started getting slower speeds, right? So you're starting to see artifacts, you're starting to see lost data packets and things like that. So the quality of the image kind of, you know, was not what they wanted. But luckily for her, she had the Mevo Start. The Mevo Start, if you're unaware, can save a full quality HD backup without taking into consideration at all what's streaming. So the streaming quality could take a hit, but you don't have to worry about that hit. And Michelle captures Maylee's first home run. What is it, 3 days ago it looks like. 3 days ago, Maylee Fellow had her first home run, and she blasted the softball way over the fences, and it was all captured, you know, and that's really what Mevo's all about. Mevo's allowing you to capture these special moments. First off, thanks for sharing it, Michelle. Congratulations to Maylee for having that home run, first home run ever. So that's wonderful that the Mevo was able to capture that in full HD quality, regardless of what was going on with, you know, data speeds and things like that. That's just wonderful, just fantastic. And then, let's see here. No, is that it? Did I delete it? I am not good at this game. But we do have more questions, so we're going to get back into this. But thank you again, Michelle, for sharing that. It's definitely something I think a lot of people kind of overlook, is how it works with full quality backups. It's very important to have. So Sam says, can you run the cameras on Multicam app and NDI at the same time to something like OBS or vMix? So the Multicam app does not currently allow you to run via NDI or run output to NDI. Definitely a feature we want to visit in the future. That's a tongue twister. So thanks for asking, Sam, but at this time, it's not possible. What you can, however, do, if you have a local RTMP server, you can broadcast Multicam to an RTMP server and then bring that into OBS or vMix or something like that. But at this time, NDI is not a feature. Definitely something we'd like to do in the future. Just keep saying it. Cross says, why not include Vimeo Producer in the Mevo Multicam app? So at this time, Mevo Multicam is fresh out in version 1. Vimeo Producer is not yet introduced. However, you do have graphical overlays, so you can absolutely take care of graphics, or take advantage of graphics right now in the Multicam app. Now, Vimeo Producer may or may not be introduced in the future. Not really sure. However, you can still take advantage of graphics. Some graphic features like countdowns and things aren't yet integrated, but they will be coming in future iterations. You can learn more about version 1 of the Multicam app with Will tomorrow. He talks about that in the Multicam beta group. Those streams will be more public, and then on Thursday, we're definitely going to hit that a little bit more advanced, do some screen sharing and things like that. Great question, great question. Ricardo says, should we let the Mevo Start battery discharge until the end after each use before charging full again, or we can charge at any point? Will it create a memory on the battery? You can absolutely recharge it whenever you feel. However, if you do notice that it is not recharging and it's not reflecting 100% in the app, then that's when I would start to let it drain entirely and then recharge it. However, if you're seeing 100% and you're not seeing a battery life affected, then you should be good to go. A lot of people keep them on 24/7 without issue, so you should be good to go without, worrying about it discharging entirely. When you first get your Mevo Start, definitely recommend discharging it a couple times and recharging it just to calibrate the battery and the gauge in the app a little bit. But no matter what, you should be expecting the 6-hour battery life. So it's a great question, though. Fantastic question. All right, let's see what we've got here. All right, so protection from the elements. Definitely a conversation that needs to be discussed because I see it many times. Now, these elements could be anything between the sun, which is a big one because of heat. The Mevo is a black camera. The outer casing is black. So, of course, it does attract the sun, and it can get warm. It is a device. It's an electronic at the end of the day. So heat does play a part into it. It could be rain, mist, whatever it might be. That could also play a part into it. And then, of course, also things like the ball. I don't consider that a weather element, but it is an element or a variable that you have to take in consideration. So mounting your Mevo in a smart way could prevent further damage to your camera if there's a foul ball or something. However, we have seen some really cool foul balls here lately that have hit the camera directly. But good to know, it survived. The camera works great, so that's good to go. Now, other options for protecting from the elements. These were shared from the left one. This Jimmy Summy had the Mevo Plus on a Mevo Boost. Now this does have a little bit of weather resistance with the older generations, but the issue with it is that it can still get very warm, especially after 8-9 hours of use. You're gonna get hotter, on a spring baseball day where the sun's out, no overcast. Well, his solution was using an umbrella, homemade umbrella, to give it some shade. We recommend keeping your Mevo in shade in general, whether you're making makeshift shade or just finding a shady location that is a natural location. Jen Kramer has this really cool feature or really cool option where they actually secured a bag to the fence, providing an external battery source. I've seen this done with the Mevo Start as well. Like with a clip like this where they secure an external battery source. The Mevo Start has a great battery life, 6 hours. However, the more you use it throughout the day, I had coached baseball, I've coached football. I know that those days can get a little bit longer than 6 hours, and then who knows, maybe you accidentally forget to shut it off or what have you. Now, things like that, if you want to introduce external power, you can bring a power bank or something and hang it from the fence. You can also put audio sources, whether it's a Rode Wireless Go, going in the back of the Mevo camera and kind of mounting it on the fence. And then she used a security camera shading thing to protect it from the elements, whether it's rain, and providing it shade to protect it. Now, one thing I do want to note is the Mevo Start is not weather resistant. So I've seen a few recommendations where people have said, put an ice pack on it. Or like a gel pack or whatever it might be. The thing about that is those things can still create condensation. That gel pack in the heat from the camera can create condensation, or just an ice pack, obviously, as it melts can create condensation. Even if it is one that has a cloth in between, that cloth can still introduce unwanted water or other elements into the camera. So don't recommend doing that. Also, by smothering it like that, you could also create more heat by not allowing the device to breathe in general. So don't put ice packs on it. Don't put cooling packs, gel packs, and things like that on top of your camera, because you're going to smother it, for one, creating more thermal heat. Basically, think of it as a blanket. And then as that heats up and your gel pack kind of thaws out, it's going to create condensation. just because of the temperature difference. And the Mevo Start is not weather resistant. It cannot handle that. And if you do it, you chance damaging your camera unintentionally. All right, so that was our last slide. I do want to go through camera or questions one more time. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. All right, Sam says, will the camera's output NDI and connect to Mevo multicam? Yeah, I'm not sure, Sam. Actually, it's a great question. I believe what actually happens is when you're in NDI mode, it will show you that in the multicam app. And what I believe happens at that point is it won't allow you to connect. I believe what's going to happen is when you go, specifically for not only NDI, but even webcam mode, when you're in multicam app and you try to connect to a camera in one of those modes, what's going to happen is the app's going to prompt you, hey, this is in webcam mode. Hey, this is NDI mode. If you connect, it's going to disconnect you. I'm almost positive that's what happens. I'll let someone confirm that in the chat, but I'm almost positive. DJ Kilmix says, can you go live with a wired network with Mevo? Absolutely. I may have deleted my slide that actually shows this. Let me just double check before I say that. It looks like I did. Unfortunately, let me see if I can upload it real quick. But yes, absolutely. So you can absolutely send something like that over. I'm going to go ahead and upload this real quick. Let's go back. Okay, so but you can absolutely do that. You can run your Mevo wirelessly. You can run your Mevo wired, whatever you so choose to do. You can run your Mevo via Ethernet. That's what I'm doing right now. It's going via Ethernet, wired to a modem/router, and it's being broadcasted. My phone's running wirelessly. You can run them both via Ethernet. You can run them both via wireless. You can do the phone via Ethernet and your Mevo wireless. As long as it's on the same exact network, and they can communicate, then you can absolutely do this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you run your Mevo via Ethernet, but your mobile device is on Wi-Fi, your network, specifically corporate networks, public networks, may have something called device isolation or AP isolation, peer-to-peer communication, and things like that. Now, what that means is it's going to stop wireless devices from communicating to other devices on the network, and this is a security feature to allow guest users to use the network, but without interfering and gaining unnecessary access to other devices on the network. So yeah, you can absolutely use Ethernet, you can absolutely use wireless, you can use a combination of both, but when it comes down to it, there are other things in place that could cause issues, but for the most part, most networks aren't going to do that. You'll just see that in public networks, guest networks, hotel networks, corporate networks, conference halls, and things like that. It's a great question. Sam says, final question, multicam to webcam app. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, it took a second to process that. If you're asking if you can go to the multicam to webcam app, that's not a possibility, at this time at least. Once again, these are all things that we've considered, all things that we would like to visit to see if it's possible to handle. But at this time, version 1 doesn't have things like this. It's too early. A lot of things that are in the Mevo 2.0 app still need ported over to the multicam app. So we're definitely going to hit all of those things. And then in the future, once those things are all done, those are things that we would love to revisit, specifically the NDI. I know that's definitely a conversation that's been had, and it's highly requested, and it's a highly desirable feature from our users. So definitely a great question. Let me see if I can get this. Let's see here. Perfect. Look at that. I did find the slideshow that covers this. But as you can see here, the phone is on a local wireless network, and then the Mevo Start is connected via the Ethernet power adapter. And these are both able to communicate and broadcast that way. Now you can do it vice versa as well. You can connect your phone via Ethernet and then connect your Mevo via wireless, or you can connect them both via Ethernet. Whatever you might want to do, the Mevo can handle it, and the Mevo will handle audio syncing and all of that stuff. Now, one thing that you should take into consideration is that the Mevo will not, or the Mevo Power Ethernet adapter is not going to work with your mobile device. At least it's very unlikely that it will. It's specifically designed for the Mevo itself, first of its kind, as far as I'm aware, USB-C PoE adapter. But just hopefully that graphic kind of clarifies how you can use your Mevo via Ethernet or Wi-Fi. All right, it looks like that was all of the questions for today. Just to cover one more time before we cut out for the day, let me get rid of this graphic. Right now, we do actually have a discount that is available until the 9th of next month. So June 9th, you'll be able to take advantage, or up until June 9th, you can save $20 off on the Mevo Start and the Mevo PoE adapter. So if you're trying to get a discount on that, you can absolutely do that. And then if you don't want to purchase anything more, and you already find yourself recommending users, they can save an additional 5%, and you can earn 5% on the purchase. So if that's something you'd want to do, and one thing that I think is really cool about this, and I think I talk about it every time, is that you can create a custom coupon code. So these coupon codes are custom, where you can actually name it after whether it's your league, your organization, your YouTube channel, your Twitch channel, whatever it might be. You can name the coupon code after that, and then you can hand it out. So, I mean, it's a custom coupon code. It's not some Mevo and then random generated number. It's a custom code for the referral program where you can earn 5%, they can save 5%, and everyone is a winner. As always, thank you all for your participation. We do go live, as I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tomorrow, you'll find us live on the Mevo Multicam Beta Group, where we go over the Mevo 1.0 app, both iOS and Android. We'll answer all your questions regarding that. If you do have any recommendations, you can still get those in, because the app's not finished. It's far from finished. It is just a very stable app that allows you to add graphics and things like that and still stream to your favorite destinations. But we have so many more features we want to integrate, so many more features we want to port over. So if you do have recommendations or suggestions on how we can improve the app, that show is the best one for that to take place, because Will is on it and he makes sure that all of your voices are heard. And then, of course, on Thursday, hopefully Will and I will be back. I'm going to continue to work on the configuration here so we can do that and get in depth in both the Mevo 2.0 app and the Multicam app and show you screen sharing and everything like that. And then on Friday, Joseph, our personal audio engineer, part of our customer experience group here, he's going to go into internal audio, external audio. He's going to go ins and outs of how it all works, talk about cardioid and all of that fancy stuff that I don't entirely understand, but he does. So that's why you should tune in on Fridays if you have audio questions. So if you do have suggestions for future shows, as always, put those in the chat. If you want to talk about specific things, let us know. If you have technical issues, go to help.mevo.com. If you want to know when we're going to go live, if you want updates on sales, make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all of our social channels. We are at Mevo Camera at YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So until tomorrow's show, I'm Joseph Capehart, and we will see you all then. See ya.